everybody? It's AT. Merry Christmas Eve day. It is the 24th here when I'm recording, and in just one moment, I am here to tell you why Jordan Seaton's commitment to Colorado, which became official on Friday, is even bigger than you think, but more importantly, proves something about Coach Prime that I don't think enough people are talking about. So we're going to get to that in just one moment. Before we do, though, please make sure to subscribe to the Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel. We just closed in on 32,000 subscribers. We're right about to get there, but I think we get to 35K before the new year. We're going to have plenty of new content next week. Bowl games, college football playoff, recruiting, portal. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. With that said, let's go ahead and dive into the latest from beautiful Colorado, although all the action is not going on in Colorado. Instead, it's actually going on in Miami Beach, as on Friday, we talked about the fact that it really looked like Jordan Seaton, the five-star offensive tackle, was about to sign with Colorado after committing to them a few weeks ago. We talked about the fact that he showed up on Deion Sanders Jr.'s Instagram feed. I said, look, I think this is coming. And in just a few hours after that, we got the official, not only commitment, but really the signing of the paperwork. It became official. We're not talking about that today, though. That is old news. What I do think is interesting, though, is since that happened, the last couple days, Jordan Seaton has been hanging out in Miami with Coach Prime's sons, Deion Sanders Jr., Shador Sanders, Chad Ochocinco rolled through some of those videos. And as I was watching the videos, now that Jordan Seaton is officially a Buff, he's officially a part of that program and that brotherhood and that whatever, it really did strike me. Isn't Jordan Seaton the best proof yet of the Coach Prime effect? Now, I know a lot of you probably sitting there saying, Torres, what do you mean by that? What I mean is this, is that I was thinking about this. I cannot ever remember an offensive lineman, an O-lineman, an offensive tackle with as much hype and as much interest and as much intrigue as a high school player who has never played a college game around National Signing Day as I have with Jordan Seaton. Maybe we've seen it with some super high profile quarterbacks. Maybe we've seen it with a skill position player or two. But the idea that an offensive tackle essentially stole all the headlines on National Signing Day, I think this is the greatest proof yet of the impact of Coach Prime and the fact that there is no one that creates interest in young players and even to a degree in his program quite like Coach Prime. And again, I was just thinking about this as I'm watching the videos, as we're towards the holidays, you just think about a lot of different things. But again, think about National Signing Day. There were a lot of really interesting stories, okay? Obviously, Georgia getting another #1 class, Florida's class completely falling apart, which we certainly talked about on this channel. The #1 quarterback in America, Dylan Raiola, flipping from Georgia to Nebraska. Auburn shooting up the recruiting rankings. But it really felt like as National Signing Day came and went, the biggest story was this offensive tackle originally from the Maryland area who, of course, had committed to Colorado and that did not sign his paperwork. Was he going to sign? Was he not going to sign? Is Maryland really a threat? He took a visit. What does it mean? Can Mike Locksley seal the deal? This became the biggest story. But even, by the way, in the lead up to National Signing Day, think about this. How many kids do you remember committing on national TV pre-signing day? Now, on signing day, yes, you get a kid on an ESPN of whatever. But 2-3 weeks out, commits on Undisputed with Skip Bayless, Keyshawn Johnson. I keep wanting to say Skip and Shannon, by the way. Sorry, Shannon. I know you don't work there anymore. But Skip Bayless, Keyshawn Johnson, Michael Irvin. And so that starts to build the hype. Everybody gets to know him. But then coming out of signing day when he did not officially sign, this is, again, the biggest story. Then pen goes to paper. Then what happens? It is still the biggest story. As Coach Prime is on with Stephen A. Smith, and Stephen A. Smith is asking him, tell me about this kid. What is he going to do? What does he bring to your program? What is the difference? Coach Prime is telling him stories from his recruitment, all the other offensive linemen that are now part of the program. And so you think about how Jordan Seaton stole National Signing Day. This just speaks to the impact of Coach Prime and what he's about in the platform that he creates for these kids. And so ultimately, as I'm sitting here watching these videos, that's what I just can't help but think. Colorado, listen, to the outsiders, to the people that don't like it, that don't appreciate it, that don't enjoy it, They're frustrated. But when you talk about the holistic 365 degrees of a program, there is nothing in college football like Colorado. Okay. Now, there are certainly programs that win at a really high level. Georgia wins at an insane level. Alabama wins at an insane level. Michigan wins at an insane level. Ohio State wins at an insane level. Okay. But think about what Colorado offers. First of all, people say, oh, they lose and it doesn't matter. They stink. Well, I keep going back to it. They were 4-8 this past year after going 1-11 the year before. And they lost 5 games by a touchdown or less. A 3-point loss to an Arizona team that won 9 games. A 6-point loss to a Utah team when both teams had a backup quarterback. 7-point loss to USC. You go on and on down the list. They were competitive and close in, I don't want to say every game, but more often than not, they either won or it was close. And so everybody that wants to say, oh, this isn't going to work, it's like, no. There need to be changes, like any program, any business. You obviously, in downtimes, reevaluate, see what went right, what went wrong, what needs to be fixed. But this isn't last year at Colorado. This isn't tear it down and then build it all the way back up. It's actually the exact opposite. It's more of a, there's a couple leaks here and there. You got to fix this. You got to change that. You got to adjust that. But it isn't a major rebuild. And so when I think about Colorado, 1, I think they're going to be a lot better next year. But 2, this again just speaks to the idea there is no program in college football really like it, right? The exposure that Coach Prime allows you. Jordan Seaton just hanging out with the Sanders children on that YouTube channel. It creates an insane amount of interest in him and who he is and what he's doing and what kind of young man he is and what kind of leader he is and what kind of person he is and what's he going to be like in the locker room and in the huddle, etc. But then beyond that, you got ESPN, Stephen A. Smith talking about you. You got Fox Sports, Undisputed talking about you. You got Rich Eisen on NFL Network talking about you. So you're starting to build your brand even with NFL fans who are tuning into these people who generally talk about the NFL. Beyond that, again, I think the team is going to be improved. And obviously, Coach Prime brings a unique perspective to college football. Again, I already know what everyone who doesn't like Coach Prime is going to say. They're going to talk about the 4-8 record, whatever. I keep going back to, how was he his first year at Jackson State versus his second year when he went 11-2? Everybody wants to say, oh, they stink, they whatever, they this, they that. Go back and look. This is exactly what Coach Prime did his first couple years at Jackson State. Came in, tore the sucker down. They went, I believe, 4-3 his first year, then made the adjustments, made the changes, and went 11-2 in year 2. And so I just bring it up because this thing is happening. And so you look at, again, what Coach Prime provides, the uniqueness of this program, the platform that they have. By the way, the celebrity of it all. As I said, Chad Ochocinco, it's so funny. I guess Chad Ochocinco did an interview with Coach Prime a few weeks ago on his channel where he said, Coach, I want to come coach for you. And Coach Prime says, well, I don't think you're going to work that hard. I don't think you're going to recruit. And so Chad Ochocinco shows up at the clothing store, the jewelry store, saying, Coach Prime, look who I found. Look what I got for you. Look at the big fish that I reeled in. So there is no program like it. And I am so excited to see how this offseason continues to progress. I think there's more big news coming out of the portal. And more importantly, just how things progress into the spring as a lot of these guys get to campus, what's next, what the spring looks like, what spring practice looks like, how much improvement we see from there. Then obviously we still got 9 months until kickoff. So there's a long ways away, but I keep telling you, man, this roster is greatly improved from what we saw a year ago when Colorado went 4-8. It is also worth noting, by the way, I think the Big 12 is going to be an easier pathway for Colorado than the Pac-12 was this year, but this program is improved. And Jordan Seaton, man, you talk about just an intriguing storyline, an intriguing narrative, an intriguing just everything that we've seen over the last 3 or 4 days. He is signed. But more importantly, this proved to me the Coach Prime effect is like nothing else because I don't ever remember an offensive lineman getting the coverage like this kid has over the last week or so, really the last month or so. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the Air Tours Pod YouTube channel. Pumping out new content. We'll have plenty next week after the holiday. Again, hope everyone has a happy holiday. Appreciate everybody's support. Love what I do, privileged to do what I do, and I can't do it without all your support. So hope you have a Merry Christmas. Talk to you on the backside.